introduction to all that is to come this evening and all that is ahead. Um, Forgive me, I'm a bit under the weather and still in transit home. Traffic around Ligani area is exquisitely bad this evening. Um, but I'm just pausing, especially to say welcome to you all, and for those who are fellowshipping with us from clubs outside of Jamaica, please unmute and share, identify yourselves. Okay, I don't think we have anyone from clubs outside. Anyone from Division 25 joining us this evening? None from Division 25. Anybody from Division 24? Anybody joining us from Division 23 East?
Yes, yes. Good
Hello, good evening.
evening. Yes, everyone. President Zuri, DP Andrew. I bring you warm greetings from President Veronica and the members of Kiwanis Club of New Kingston. I am Linda Rose Pennycook, and with me I have just two others. I think others will join soon. I'm looking forward to an interesting meeting. Thanks for having me or having us. Thank you.
Thank you so much to you and your delegation for joining us. Always
You're
welcome.
welcome. Yes.
Anybody else from Division 23 East? Right? Anybody from Division 23 West? Anyone representing clubs from Division 23 West?
Good night, DP Andrew.
Good
I
night.
am bringing you on behalf of President Kashif and the members of the Kiwanis Club of Mandeville. I'm bringing you cool greetings. I am the Lone Ranger this evening, but nevertheless, I'm here to hear from you, Kiwanian, and to hear about Jimmy Cliff. Okay, I remember when I was younger, I went to watch his movie, The Harder They Come. So I'm here to listen and to enjoy your meeting. I'm DP Josephine. Looking forward to an enjoyable meeting this with you this evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Welcome to you. Anyone else from Division 23 West? Okay. Anyone from Division 23 Central from our home division?
Pam 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 pam
Dun,
pam.
dun, 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 dun. Big greeting. Identify yourself.
Well, hello to one and all,
Hello,
President
hello.
and everyone, President Zuri. I am D.A. Joan Phillips Bennett from the wonderful, amazing Kiwanis Club of Nation Builders Kingston. I thank you for your invitation. I am excited and I'm looking forward to both segments of your meeting. I am particularly excited to get up close and personal with my fellow colleague, Ahejey Mattis, and also everyone knows I'm a music enthusiast, so I am looking forward to everything that will be said, discussed, and, you know, just the fellowship here. Blessings. I am alone right now. I did see one of my members, our secretary, on, but I think she will come on soon, and I'm expecting more persons to join.
All right. Thank you, Past President Joan. I know you are alone for now, and we expected you to be here given the speaker for the meeting. So we're glad that you're here, and I've made your usual introduction. Welcome as usual. Anyone else? Any other clubs from our division, our home division, 23 Central? No. Any SLPs, any members of our service leadership programs? No. Any guests of Kiwanians this evening? No. Okay, so we're 19 strong thus far. He will get a formal introduction, and I guess we'll tell more about himself. But welcome to one of our newer members, Ahejey. I will look forward to hearing from you, sir. For the meeting, I hand the mic back to President Zuri to continue the proceedings.
Thank you, VP Andrew, and I hope you get well soon. Welcome to everyone. I have no apologies for absence, but I'm going to ask DLG Willie if he did receive any such apology.
No, I didn't receive any, President Zuri. As we know, the Treasurer Deanne DeMille is off the island, and he'll be back next week.
All right, thank you, DLG. I will also give the opportunity to any other member of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston, if it is that anyone had sent you an apology and you wish to share at this time, I'm going to allow you to do so.
Good evening, President Zuri. Good evening, everyone. Kiwanian Ozzy is not feeling well, so he's unable to make it this evening. His he has a condition that is flaring up on him.
Thank you. Apology noted. And we wish him the very best, and we wish for him that he gets well soon as well. We'll reach out to him. Thank you. And at this time, we will be having recognition of birthdays and anniversaries and any other special occasions that's been celebrated. And to do this, I'm going to be inviting PE Arsenio Sawyers.
Good evening, everyone. So we do have a few special days coming up this week. Starting tomorrow on the 26th, we have a birthday for Marjorie, who is the wife of P.D. Trevor Ford. Then on the 28th, we have two birthdays, one for Kiwanian Colin Barnett, as well as Colleen, who is the wife of Kiwanian Von Garwin White. Then on the 27th, we will have an anniversary, and that is for Director Warren McDonald and his wife, Joan. So happy anniversary and happy birthday to you all when it comes. Now, if there is anyone else on the call who has a special day coming up this week and you'd like to share with us, please feel free to open your mic and let us know. Okay, if there is no one having a special day, I will now hand back to you, President Zuri.
Thank you, PE. And we celebrate with all those persons who are celebrating special occasions this week. And now we are going to increase our knowledge about Kiwanis International as we move to Kiwanis education that will be brought to us by DLG Desmond Batchelor.
Good evening, President. Good evening, fellow Kiwanians, SLP members and guests. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Yes, we can.
All right. The topic is the role of the Kiwanis Committee Chairman. The chairman is one of the leaders of the club, and she is appointed by the club president. The chairman plays a very important role in connecting new and seasoned members to the goals, objectives, and the overall activities of the club. Under his or her guidance, the committee works as a team to engage members, develop strategies, and perform the tasks for the achievement of the club's goals. Additionally, the chairman communicates the planned and actual activities of the club to provide information to the club's membership, also involved in developing leaders and to have fun. The duties, however, are subject to the existence of standing committee. For example, the membership growth and retention committee, the fundraising committee, interclub and club meetings committee. So the chairman has a very important role, important function overall. So that's it for Kiwanis Education, President Zuri. Thank you.
Thank you, DLG Desmond. And I'm just going to acknowledge PD Crystal and the gang from Kiwanis Club of Montego Bay. Welcome to our meeting, and it is our pleasure to have you. And at this time, it is time for us to get up close and personal as we move into the main event for this week's meeting. And to take us through the main event, I'm going to hand over to DP Stewart.
Thank you, President Zuri. Everybody hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
I'm hearing you.
Okay. Thank
Loud
you.
and clear.
Well, fellow Kiwanians and guests, it is my pleasure this evening to I'm only gonna introduce you or tell you his name. Now every time I have to write his name, I have to look at the spelling because it gets me confused all the time. But I'm gonna spell it for you. It's Ahejey. And then sometimes I wonder, did I put the Y in the right place? Did I put the H in the right place? But I'm getting accustomed to it. I pronounce it
Ahejey.
You thought I needed help. Okay, I probably did. I like to say Ahejey. I still haven't got the rhythm right, but that's his first name. His surname is Mattis. Now he has just recently been inducted into our club. Well, just before the end of the last administration, I think it was just before, and he's proving himself because even when I spoke to him earlier, he told me that he was on an event, a Kiwanis event, on just a couple of hours before. So he is getting involved, and I'm really happy to be able to present him to you tonight. He's gonna tell you about himself, so I'm not supposed to really do that. I'm just telling you he's coming up to speak to you, and I think he has his camera on, so you can see him. So I'm glad you're here. I won't. Let me not say it. And you go right ahead. It's your time now.
All right. Thank you so much, DP Stewart, and good evening, everyone. I am asking if I can be granted the permission to share my screen, please.
Yes, you can. Let me just okay, mic is open. Ahead. Just give me 1 second.
Not a problem.
Oh yeah, this is it, I think. Right.
All right, it's not giving me. Okay.
Yeah, yes, that's good now.
All right, are we seeing my screen?
Yes, we are. Great.
All right, thank you so much. Again, so good evening again, everyone. My name is Ahejey Mattis, but most people just call me AJ. And depending on who you ask, they'll tell you I wear about 5 different hats on any given day. Whether it be teacher, leader, youth advocate, designer, sometimes counselor, and occasionally a magician, because the way I pull off certain deadlines is nothing short of a miracle. But before I dive into my story, I want to warm up the room a little bit because I'm very big on energy and a good laugh. So we're going to start with the classic icebreaker, 2 truths and a lie. Good. So I have on my screen 3 things about me, and 2 are completely true and 1 is a lie. And your job is to figure out which one is the lie. So I'm going to ask that we utilize the chat, and you can send your answer, just 1 or 2. Just type the number 1, 2, or 3. Just let me know which is the lie. So the first one, I'm absolutely terrified of lizards and basically anything that crawls or jumps or flies, anything at all. 2, I have a young daughter who is 2 years old, whose name is Tiana. And 3, I sing and perform. Let's
I would
see.
say, I think number 1 is the lie.
Number 1 is the lie. All right. All right, I hear you. Anybody else? We can type in the chat as well.
Definitely wouldn't lie on the second one.
Okay. So we think number 1 is the lie. All right. Anybody else? All right. Somebody says 2 is the lie. All right, I'm hearing 2. Watch out. 2 is the lie. 1, 2, 2 is a lie. All right, all right. But before I reveal the which is the lie, I love this icebreaker. And I found it fitting for this evening because it really forces you to guess the parts of a person you think you know. And usually you end up being wrong. But tonight, as I share my journey, you're going to get to know the real me, not just the teacher, not just the leader, but the person, the story, and also the purpose behind it all. So here's the reveal. So I don't have a young daughter who is 2 years old, whose name is Tiana. For those who are familiar with me on the call, they know I'm absolutely terrified of every and any insect. It's not one of my um, proudest traits, but once it crawls or flies, just know I'm out of there. And my mother is on, and if a lizard or something would come in the house, she would definitely say, "Yeah, man, you know." But I don't care. Once it crawls, I'm out of there. And of course, I really enjoy singing and performing. Good. So let's get started. So I'm going to talk about family. And family is really the first place you learn who you are. And mine has shaped everything about me. So I grew up in Kingston in a home built on love and discipline and resilience. And my mother, Audrey, is the foundation of our family. A quiet powerhouse who leads with grace. And she taught me responsibility, strength, and how to carry myself with dignity, no matter what life looks like. My father, though no longer here, physically, continued to guide me with his values, his work ethics, and the way he carried himself is still influential. It still influences my decision today, even in his absence. You know, his presence really helps to shape the man I'm becoming. And one of the brightest parts of my family, no pun intended, is my younger brother, Chris Andre. He's 15 years old, proudly attending Campion College. And the confidence that boy wakes up with every morning, you see, it could literally power the national grid. He gets up like he's late for a board meeting every morning, full of opinions, full of energy, full of attitude, and full of ambition. But beneath all of that, you know, he's brilliant and driven and is someone who I'm genuinely proud of. I know he's listening and an advice. I'm proud of you. He really pushes me to lead well because I know he's watching every move I make. And while looking in the chat, I realized that my aunt is on. Good night. And I see some of my other cousins on. So I'm really happy that you guys are here, Auntie Colleen and the others. Now, if we're going to be talking about origins, we have to talk about where it officially started, right? The University Hospital of the West Indies, established in 1950s as a major teaching hospital for the region, UWI has welcomed thousands of lives into this world. And could you believe that on March 27, 2003, I proudly joined that list? Can you imagine the doctors and nurses going about their normal day, and then suddenly we just hear, "All right, everybody, brace yourselves. AJ is arriving." I am convinced that the delivery room flickered, the lights in the delivery room flickered for dramatic effects. Because while some newborn comes quietly, I know for a fact I came with excitement and I entered with purpose. Right? And to close this chapter, I mentioned my extended family earlier, but we are extremely close-knitted. The majority of us, we are extremely close. And the type of family, it's the type of family where everybody is in everybody's business, but it's in the best and most loving way possible. And the sacred tradition that was initiated by my grandmother, God bless her soul, where we meet at the house on Sunday, we still try to maintain that. And that's how we come together, laughter, stories, arguments that turn into jokes. And that's where our bonds are strengthened. And at the base of all of this, my family, immediate and extended, is my foundation and my anchor and the quiet strength behind everything I do. All right. So we're going to talk a bit about my professional journey. And if I had to explain my professional journey using a real mathematical equation, and somebody might wonder why I use math. We won't get to that a bit later, but I'm a teacher of mathematics, and I see some of my colleagues on from work. I appreciate you guys being here. So if I had to explain my professional journey using real mathematical equation, it'd have to definitely be the area of a triangle. A area is equal to half the base times the height. Simple but powerful. In essence, the bigger the base is the higher you can build, right? My base was my early education. My height is every leadership role, every scholarship, every opportunity. And put that all together, that's the area, the impact I stand on today. So my foundation, all right. Hold on, we'll reach so far. Wonderful person. Good. So my foundation began at Grace Christian Academy, where my curiosity first started to grow. Then I moved to Ahejey Preparatory. Then I transitioned to the Kingston College.
Ortiz.
Right. And proudly, one of the greatest institutions in the Western Hemisphere. Right. And I say that with my chest. Casey. Casey has shaped my discipline, sharpened my identity, and gave me the grounding I needed to walk with purpose. From Kingston College, I moved to the Michael University College, where I pursued my Bachelor of Education in Mathematics. Now, Michael is really where my leadership expanded. My voice matured a little bit, and my opportunities multiplied. During my time at the Michael University College, I served on the Guild Council, holding several impactful positions. I remember it clearly like it was yesterday. My guild president at the time, President Lyons, he came to me on the day of the deadline and he said, Mattis, I've been watching you and I think that you'd make an extremely well addition. You'd make a great addition to the council. I need you on the council. And he went on and on and on. And I said, you know what, Joe, let's just do it. I began as Commissioner of External Relations, basically working with external partners, representing the institution at events, strengthening connections and that really support the student body. And then I stepped in as interim fourth year batch president, basically supporting my cohort and helping to maintain stability during the transition. In the fourth year, we're going on practicum and we're preparing to leave. And when the need arose, I served for a time, very short time, as acting guild president, ensuring continuity and representing the student body at the highest level. Now, these experiences taught me the value of clear communication, teamwork, and staying grounded even in shifting environments. One of the most defining aspects of my Michael journey, I think I can pause the sharing just for a bit on the screen. One of the most defining aspects of my Michael journey was working with the Michael Media team. And basically, I helped to build the Michael Media Hub from an idea. I just went to our coordinator with an idea. I said, Miss, I think we should have a media hub, and I gave her the details. And from an idea into a functioning unit, building its structure, shape its direction, and helping to tell the college's story in a sense, visually and creatively. I was deeply involved in content creation, communication planning, and student engagement. During that time, I was also While going to school, I was also employed by the university to run their social media. So basically helping modernize the college's digital identity and ensuring students feel informed and connected. Working under the guidance of the remarkable Mrs. Joan Andrea Hutchinson really deepened my understanding of digital storytelling, communication strategies, and the power of creativity, creativity and creative leadership. During that time, I would have served also as student ambassador, eventually becoming the lead ambassador, basically representing representing the face of the MICO at ceremonies, conferences, major institutional events. That role basically taught me how to be poised and present and how to represent an institution with grace. Expanded my knowledge on protocol and all of that. And all these experiences shaped the leader and educator I am today. Now, I proudly serve as a teacher of mathematics at the St. Andrew Technical High School. And my teaching philosophy is very simple. I teach students how to think and not what to think. I also teach CSEC mathematics, offering additional classes, mentorship and academic support beyond the classroom. And beyond the classroom, I would assist students within my community who are struggling with numeracy, because I really understand and I know how transformative one moment of understanding can be. I have also grown, well, I've also grown to be fond of curriculum development, and I plan to pursue higher scholarship in this field. And really, the aim is to influence not just how students learn, but what they learn and the structure that shapes educational excellence. But beyond my calling in the classroom, trying to share back. Good. So beyond my calling in the classroom, I would have, right, it's up now. So beyond my calling in the classroom, for over 3 years, I think 3 years or 4 years, Director Joan, I would have served as president of the 16th Episcopal District Young People's Division, the YPD, of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. And for those who are not really familiar with the denomination, the African Methodist Episcopal Church, or AME, is one of the oldest African founded denominations in the world. And basically it's rooted in, liberation, dignity, education, service, and community upliftment, all of that. And the church is structured into episcopal districts across the nations, each led by a bishop. So there are 20 districts, leading from the US to Kinshasa in Africa, leading from Trinidad, all over the place. And the 16th Episcopal District, which I serve as president for, is one of the most culturally rich and diverse districts in the denomination, because we span over Jamaica, we span Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Guyana, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, so the Windward Islands, the Virgin Islands, and all the neighboring territories. And as I'm looking too, I see some of my colleagues and friends from across the district. I see one of my colleagues from Guyana, Suriname, and the VI. So I'm happy that you guys could join. And as a district with English speaking, French Creole, Dutch, Spanish, I only speak English. So that makes the work 10 times harder and 10 times funnier, right? But God always makes a way. And as the district president, my role is not simply administrative, but it is relational, it is spiritual, it is cultural, and might say it's transformational, because I help unify youth across the nation, strengthening leadership structure, supporting the local presidents in the multiple different countries, guiding district-wide programming, and basically building a movement where young people can lead and serve and grow. That's really the aim. And so my service in the YPD, it has taken me beyond Jamaica, which I'm so grateful. I've represented the district in Atlanta, recently Arkansas, Ohio, and other regions, carrying our district's voice onto the global platform and, just being a voice there. So when I return to the formula of the area of a triangle half base times height, My base is basically everything that keeps me grounded. My height is everything that lifts me up. So teaching, leadership, service, creativity, all the things that I mentioned. And the area is the educator, the leader, and the servant you are seeing here today. Now, outside of teaching and leadership, I believe in living life to the fullest. And my friends can tell you, I'm going to live. And living a life that refuels me from the inside out. And one of the things people learn about me is I genuinely enjoy performing. So my colleagues at work would tell you, when I'm not in a class and I'm in the staff room, I'm singing. Sometimes I'm tired of me, but boy. So I am a performer. Whether it is singing in worship or just enjoying music on my own, it has always been one of the ways I would say, one of the ways I stay grounded. Yeah. So music really gives me that space to breathe and reflect. Another part of my recreation is fitness. I'm in the gym, and not just for physical transformation, everybody wants to look good and all of that, but for discipline, and strength and mental clarity that it gives me. Because really and truly, after a long day of giving myself to hundreds of students, the gym really becomes a space where I can reset and refocus and show up for myself. When I'm in the gym and I put on my headphones and I press that noise cancellation and I put my phone on do not disturb, they know that for that hour and a half, this is my time to show up for myself, And it also teaches consistency, and consistency teaches character. And I think that's extremely important. I also enjoy traveling, whether it's just exploring my favorite parish, Portland, or just taking in its rivers, or whether it's just catching a flight, as Joan would say, listen, we need to just catch a flight and explore somewhere new. Traveling really gives me perspective, and it reminds me of how big the world is and how much there is still to learn. All of those things, the music, the worship, the traveling, and all the other things that I mentioned, it really keeps me grounded. You might say, why does he keep saying keep me grounded? It's important to be grounded. All of them really keeps me grounded and centered and balanced. And honestly, they fuel my motivation too. Because when you take care of yourself mentally and emotionally and physically and spiritually, you really show up better in every space. You show up better for yourself, you show up better for, in my case, I show up better for my students and for my community and even, anybody I come into contact with. When it comes to what motivates me, it really comes down to purpose. And I believe that every gift, every opportunity, every space I step into is connected to something bigger. So I take nothing I do for granted. Even this very moment here, I know it's connected to something greater and bigger than me in this moment. And that sense of purpose really keeps me focused and determined. My motivation comes from wanting to serve and uplifting and wanting to leave people better than I found them. Whether it's my colleagues at work, whether it's my students in the classroom, whether it's the young leaders I interact with throughout the 16th district, or just someone in my community who needs help, they can tell you. Once I step in, you're not gonna leave the same, because I'm gonna make it my mission that you live better. My favorite scripture: I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And it has carried me through some of the toughest seasons of my life. It reminds me that I'm not walking alone, and that even when I feel stretched, stressed, overwhelmed, or uncertain, strength is always available. What motivates me the most is the possibility of impact. My favorite word, impact. Knowing that my work can change a young person's perspective, or it can restore some confidence, or it can spark a dream, or just basically or just give somebody, the courage to try again. I ask myself every day, even though sometimes it slips a bit, but I ask myself, how can I make someone's journey a little lighter today? And that is what really keeps me showing up consistently, intentionally, and with heart. And I'm winding down. I'm talking a lot, but I'm coming down. when it comes to what I'm good at, I've realized something that I don't just participate in things, I bring life to it. And if it already has life, I bring more life to it. And if it already has more life, I bring more life to the more life, right? So I genuinely enjoy event planning and decorating. They can tell you listen, as wind blow, I'm planning something. And working, basically decorating with balloons, fabric, florals, lighting, backdrops, all of the excitement. Just really transforming a simple space into something warm and memorable. It really, keeps me calm and I enjoy it. I also am deeply passionate about graphic designing and branding and, the whole content creation and editing and, whether that's just videos, flyers, presentations, or just fully creative concepts. It's where really my creativity meets leadership. I would say that's one of my stronger areas. And also, evidently, I would have mentioned it before, but I really thrive in youth mentorship and leadership development and community organization, helping young people to really find direction and purpose, right? And of course, I have to mention performing. I really enjoy performing, singing, the whole works. Now, even though I'm new to the Kiwanis Club of Kingston, service really has been a steadfast thread throughout my life. Before the Kiwanis, I would have been a part of the Circle K International at the Michael University College, where I learned the foundation of structured service, you know, leadership and community impact, along with the 16th District YPD. Also, a major guiding influence on that journey, on my journey, in its entirety, would have to definitely be Mrs. Joan Phillips Bennett. She's from the Kiwanis Club of Nation Builders, Kingston, and she's a mentor and a friend of mine, and she really supports me in the Kiwanis and in the 16th district where she serves as my director. So sometimes you hear it slipping and saying Director Joan, because she's the director for the 16th Episcopal District YPD, and just being that support in the personal areas of my growth. Her guidance has really shaped the way I view service and intentional service, intentional service and purpose-driven service. And now that I'm officially a part of the Kiwanis, I am really just simply looking forward to growing into the space naturally, finding my rhythm, that will take a bit of time, and learning the culture and discovering where I can contribute, the most and meaningfully. I'm excited to learn from those who have been serving long before me, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to serve alongside people who really genuinely cares about community and impact. I may be new, but I'm here with intention, and I'm willing to learn, willing to serve, and willing to grow into this chapter step by step. Now, as I wrap up in closing, there is one thing I want to leave with you. And I see some of my sixth formers who I would supervise at school. I see a few of them on, about two of them. And especially to the younger persons who might be listening, you don't need to have your whole life figured out or to start moving in purpose. Sometimes you just need to take the first step, be consistent, and give yourself room to grow. Your path won't always be straight and it won't always be easy, but it is what you do. It will always be worth it if you stay true to who you are becoming. Every day I'm reminded by my students and by the young leaders I serve alongside with and support, by the people who pour into me, that impact isn't loud or dramatic. It's really the small things, showing up, serving well, being kind, staying focused, and believing that you can rise above whatever is in front of you. So when you are in your journey, just keep going, keep learning, keep stretching, keep trusting God's timing. I think that is important, that we trust God's timing, and keep believing that your life has room for greatness. And when I talk about greatness, I talk about real, meaningful greatness. So thank you guys for listening. and for growing with me and for being a part of the spaces that continue to shape my story.
Wow.
Right. AJ, I really prefer AJ.
Right.
It's really
Easier.
it helps me. It helps me. But that was fantastic, man. That was really um so when we ask, especially the newer members, because sometimes we ask the older members because we never used to do it like this, from way back. So I mean, so older members meaning older in terms of how long they've been in the club, and
Right.
newer members have done this, and every now and again, somebody presents, and you seem so well organized. I can, I'm impressed. I must admit.
Thank you.
You said something that I'd like to just. We don't normally cross-examine persons when they do this because it's not really for that purpose. But one or two little questions might come up. You said something about where's that? I made a little notes, and it's about can lead, like your presentation could lead to bigger things. You remember what you said? You said something like that. Or am I misquoting you?
No, man. I really said that I really do everything, with the mindset that it is connected to something greater.
Right. You say one of the things that this helps us with is getting to know who you are,
Right.
and also the skills that you bring to the club, because we some of the things you told us today, we would not have known about that just by virtue of either the interview or or any other means. And that's why these sessions are very important.
Right.
And and it helps us to make you want to know, you want to see where you can make a contribution, and this presentation helps us to know where you can probably be more effective. So I want to thank you. If anybody wants to throw in a little quick one.
Let's see my hand up.
Oh, your hand. Go ahead, Earl.
The first thing I wanted to know, AJ, is what year you said you were born?
2003.
You astounded me, not because you're a KC man, but boy, you didn't touch the Key Club while you were there because you're so busy otherwise, right?
I was busy singing, and because I was a part of the Kingston College Chapel Choir. And
oh, okay.
Right.
Say no more. I won't ask any more questions, but I am extremely impressed. And Kiwanis Club of Kingston, make sure you don't lose him. And I hope the young ones will be inspired as I am, but be able to act on what you have really passed on. Thank you.
Let me just, if I'm allowed, let me just
Go ahead.
permission to acknowledge the presence of my vice principal from St. Andrew Technical High School, who's on with us, Mrs. Yvonne Mamir Tafari. Thank you so much, Miss, for being here and for listening. I appreciate it.
And of course, let me just squeeze in one. You realize that one of the best principals you have ever had at St. Andrew Technical started at Kingston College, not as an old boy, but Stafford Isaac Henry. That name resonates at St. Andrew Technical. Whoever at St. Andrew Technical doesn't know about him, they didn't attend there.
Yes, that's part of the history. Okay. If I just allow a second or two, if anybody else has something they really want to. Okay, I see a hand up. Is that you, Joan?
Of course.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say, well, I promised Ahejey that I wouldn't ask any questions. Yes.
Oh,
So I just want to say, as always, I am so very proud of you, your growth, and seeing all of what you have done, your visions come to life, and you impact in a positive way. you inspire your peers, and you inspire even myself and persons who are older than you, as you heard earlier. So I just want to say, keep on doing what you're doing. Keep God at the forefront as you've always been doing. And I know that you will surpass even your own dreams because God has so much in store for you. Blessing.
Thank you for those comments. Thanks, John. Okay. All right. I think at this point, we are about to move into the other segment that we had lined up, and let me just give you an idea. This is to everybody I'm speaking. Is that I'm gonna open the segment, but I'm really not hoping for it to be me alone. I didn't put together a panel, but I'm hoping that the persons in the audience who have either been exposed to Jimmy Cliff in some way, maybe I've seen a couple of his shows, performances, whatever, or just even if it's just his music, would have something that you would want to contribute in terms of how he has, impacted you. And so it's not for me alone. I'm really hoping that other persons will, kick in and contribute, because he was a special person. So let's just go into that section. When I googled, I googled Jimmy Cliff dead at 81, and just to see, what was on the what could come up. I couldn't read them all. I mean, I didn't try, but just to give you an idea of the breadth of coverage his death has created, I just want to tell you a few of the, and these are just the ones that I know of. I mean, I left out those that I didn't recognize. Oh, let me put that back my camera. Sorry. Yeah. Let me just mention some of those, because I'm left out so many. But just to give an idea of the impact he has had, because if you don't make an impact, people don't cover you when you die. Okay. We're talking about the Times of London, New York Times, USA Today, Al Jazeera. That was interesting. NBC News, Hollywood Reporter, AP News, The Evening Standard, CNN, New York Post, Fox News, People Magazine, CBC, Variety, CBS News, Billboard, Guardian Nigeria, African News, LA Times, Miami Herald, The Washington Post, El Mundo, The Telegraph, Toronto Sun, Times of India, San Francisco Chronicles, Tribune, and Amazon. And as I said, I just left out the unfamiliar names. So that gives you an idea of just the impact, the worldwide impact that this man, a son of our soil, has had on the world. A couple of just general facts. Oh, let me start by something. The first time I saw it, I'm not sure if this was the first time, but it must have been in the early days. Now, I don't know if some of you are old enough to remember that there was a time when every Christmas morning or a holiday, like it didn't have to be Christmas, it might be New Year's, it might be Easter. They used to have these shows. A lot of them were at Regal or Carib, State, right? And I used to go to a lot of those shows because I loved watching performers, and so this show that I went to in those early days was at Regal. I remember this was at Regal, and Jimmy Cliff was one of the billed artists. So when it was time for him to come on, he came out in a suit. He was well dressed, and he had on. I don't see people wearing these things nowadays, but cufflinks. Those things we call cufflinks. And a white shirt. The frill, and so on. So he came out, and I'm gonna tell you what happened. He started by I don't think he started with a song. Or he may have done one song, but then he got into what was an act. And at that time, I recognized something about Jimmy Cliff. Because in those days, most artists in Jamaica just knew how to come out and sing. But Jimmy had obviously recognized that when you are on stage, you are to perform, right? You're not just there to sing, because then people can just buy your records. Now, he tried this thing. You guys ever go to the hotels and see people do limbo? I've seen them do limbo under like a beer bottle, you know? Anyway, Mr. Cliff, he started out, the bar was about 3 feet high, all right? I think he made that one. But as it got a little lower, no, before he even started the limbo, let me just say this. He tried to peel off the shirt. He tried to peel off the shirt because rather than pulling the cufflinks, he tried to just peel off the shirt. And it just wouldn't come beyond the cufflinks. Eventually, he had to pull the cufflinks. That took up a bit of time. Anyway, when he started the limbo act now, I must admit he didn't get very far. He really wasn't good at it. And before he didn't get to the level that the performers in the hotels get to. And he kept falling. But I tell you this because, as I said before, and what impressed me then, even though the act didn't work, was that at least he recognized that he was supposed to perform. And that and that is really what came from that. Because at the time, you know, most people were just coming out and singing. And fast forward to when I was at St. Augustine in Trinidad. While I was there, Jimmy Cliff came to Trinidad to perform. And it was one of the proudest moments that I've ever had. You know, when you're in a foreign country and you watch your own Jamaicans come and perform, you know, and they hit it out of the park, you really feel good, you know, because, you know, him come from my place, you know. And I will always remember that concert. It was magical. And, you know, he has come a long way from that day on the Regal stage. But that's how you grow. You try. And even if you don't make it the first time, you keep trying. And yet that's how you build your professional status. So that is one story that I wanted to just link. In terms, you know, I have always had a thought that he had this really wonderful voice. And, you know, there are a couple of things that I learned when I was just doing a little background on him. For example, you know, he was born on April Fool's Day in 1944, April 1, 1944.
I know 3 people born on April 1.
Okay.
One of them is dead, but yeah.
Okay. We all know he was born in Somerton, which is a district in St. James. And his name officially is James Chambers. But another thing I remember, which is, I'm going to give you a little more facts, but another thing I remember, if you guys remember when Tessan was on The Voice, you know, she used to sing backup for Jimmy Cliff on his live performances. And they had, other than the 4 judges, they had this guy who did some little side interviews. He was part of the crew. And I remember towards I don't think the show had ended yet. I don't think the winner had been announced yet. But at this point in the show, he interviewed Tessan and brought up the point about, you know, in the conversation, it came up that I guess he knew, she used to sing backup for Jimmy Cliff. And what struck me was almost the reverence with which the interviewer referred to Jimmy Cliff. You know, it wasn't like he was just an act. I think he referred to him as reggae royalty. And that also hit me because there is a level of respect that artists who have reached, that level internationally, um, have really been able to garner that kind of respect. And the way he spoke about him, because he was asked, and then what they did, they had a surprise for her. They got Jimmy on the phone, and then she didn't know he was gonna be on the phone, so it created quite an emotional little moment on The Voice. Some of you who used to watch that show, at least at that time when Tessan was on, may even remember that. But that's another point that I remember. Now, he is the recipient of the Order of Merit, and this is just a little sidebar for me. I've never been able to understand why the Order of Merit, which is one of our highest honors, but why does it rank above an Order of Distinction? Because I remember in school, a distinction was higher than a merit. But that's a side issue. Jimmy Cliff has an Order of Merit, which is higher, and it's one of our highest awards. He has 2 Grammys. I saw where one it was for Grammy album. The album was Rebirth or something. I think that's the name of it. I must admit I was not familiar with it, but he won that in 2013. And the other one was for a particular recording. I don't know if they're still doing that, because I don't remember hearing recently about getting Grammys for an individual recording. But at least that is one of the awards he has. So he got Best Reggae Album in 2013 for the album Rebirth. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he's only the second reggae musician, or let's say Jamaican musician, to be so inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I guess you wouldn't have any difficulty figuring out who was the first. So I won't even bother to mention it. He was also one of the first musical artists. Some of you who are familiar with Saturday Night Live, they always have a musical performance on that show. And he actually was one of the first musicians I'm not saying he was the first, but in his first season, he was one of the musicians who was invited to perform on SNL. So he has had that. And in terms of his makeup and his posture, in terms of his aspirations, from day one, it is clear that Jimmy had an interest in going global. And I've seen where he had some conflicts with other artists. Nothing major in terms of but in terms of outlook on the music. Whereas they had artists who felt we have to keep it raw, we have to keep it real, it's Jamaican. And you had Jimmy on the other side who said no, he wants to make music that anybody in the world can appreciate, And so it wasn't always about just keeping it real roots, but it's just a different outlook. He did well with what he did, and but he always had an international outlook. That much I've picked up and I've seen it in his work. I don't know, in Brazil, for example, he's just one of the biggest acts in Brazil. That is one place where, in terms of not exclusively Brazil, but I mean, Brazil is worthy of mention as one of his stomping grounds, that he has always done very well. I mean, massive crowds. They love him there. And then there's a line that, when you sing certain songs, sometimes you're not really paying attention to the lyrics. But in this situation, I know I'm familiar with the words because I know the song. But reading the words makes a difference when you read lyrics as opposed to just singing along, because you're not really paying attention to the depth of it. I'm sure you remember this word. I'd rather be a free man in my grave than living as a puppet or a slave. Now those words, it never hit me as much as when I just recently read it. This comes from the Harder They Come, as I'm sure you know. But it also reminds me of the words of Claude McKay in that poem, right? Where he said, if we must die, let it not be like hugs. You know, there's a similarity in terms of the what he's trying to convey. You know, you'd rather die than, you know, be afraid or to live. I'm sure you get the point I'm making. So that also tells you something about him. And then there's the song Vietnam that I'm sure you're also familiar with. Bob Dylan is quoted as saying it is the greatest protest song that he has ever heard. And coming from somebody like a Bob Dylan who sang protest songs all his life, he's saying that Vietnam was just about the best protest song he had ever heard. So it gives you an idea of who this artist was. And another thing I remember is that this quote by Chris Blackwell. You know that Jimmy Cliff was signed to Island Records, but he didn't, for whatever, I don't know the details as to why he decided to leave. But I remember Chris Blackwell saying that as Jimmy Cliff walked out, in came Mr. Marley, in came Bob. So that's just a matter of the timing. But yet it's also a fact that Jimmy Cliff was the first one to take Bob Marley to a studio for him to get a, you know, for him to get a recording. So these are just some of the things that you know, we've come to know about Jimmy Cliff. And his songs, I remember when I was when I was at university, you know, we had a band. And I don't mind telling you this. I used to sing in the band, right? And one of the songs that I used to sing was Wild World. Wild World. I didn't quite get all the lyrics clearly because, you know, but sometimes you sing that song and you think the person said something and you're not sure, but you sing it anyway. And at the time when we used to sing that song, I didn't know that it wasn't his original work, that particular song. Afterwards, I found out it was Cat Stevens, the British singer who actually had sung it. It was his song. But that was his treatment, you know, Jimmy's treatment was really, I love the rendition. I really loved it. And one of the other songs which I love, you know, I read recently, in fact, Sitting in Limbo is another favorite of mine. And I never realized that it was on the Harder They Come soundtrack. I never quite realized. It just seemed like it was more recent than that. But when I was doing a little research, I realized it was on that album. But that's not a favorite of mine. When I was in the concert I was telling you about when I was in Trinidad, that was the time when Wonderful World, Beautiful People, those were some of the songs that he would have been singing at that time. And just to give an idea, I don't mind giving an idea just so that you understand the period. That was, well, I'm not sure which year it was, but I was there up to 1971. So it could have been any of those years up to the 3 years that I spent there, you know, graduating in 71. So it was about maybe it was 1970, I can't remember. But he just had such a wonderful range in terms of his music. And I want to pause at this point because I want to give other people an opportunity to share anything they know, anything this song Reggae Nights, that I realized I didn't quite remember that he had done it with Kool and the Gang, but he did it with Kool and the Gang. But I just remember his voice. He did it. So that was a collab that he had done. But at 81, he can say, well, we can say he lived a full life, and he has really made such an excellent contribution to the musical landscape of Jamaica. Then we also know about the work of in his films, and in particular, he sang the song "I Can See Clearly Now," which was a Johnny Nash composition and they used that for the movie Cool Runnings. Beautiful song, but well done by Jimmy. So I'll stop here. I don't know who would like to contribute something. Either I don't mind what, just something about Jimmy Cliff. So the floor is open. Who would like to go?
I have a guest from the check minute.
Okay. Yeah, nobody has anything else that they want to add?
Maybe you said it all.
Well, I know I covered a bit of ground. You know, he did you might remember he did another film in Jamaica. They paired him up with Robin Williams. I can't remember the name of that movie, but and that was, I guess, as a result of the success of the Holiday Cup, and he was because they had brought another crew to Jamaica to do another film. So, and another interesting fact I learned, although the Holiday Cup was released, the film was released, meaning in the cinemas, about 3 years after it was actually made or completed. I think at that time they were trying to get the distribution deals and all of that. But it has become a kind of a cult favorite, all over, and showing on, it's that and it actually helps to popularize reggae long before Bob really. I won't say long before the periods overlap, but film has a different type of impact from a recording itself. So you can understand, and a soundtrack for a film can go a long way to promoting the music. So the role, the songs from My Heart They Come were special, had a special impact in terms of helping to spread reggae to the world. So that is also to be noted. Well, I don't have a lot more.
We still have to thank our guest.
Can I?
Yes, please go ahead.
Add? I have a favorite song and a favorite Jimmy Cliff moment. My favorite song is Brown Eye Girl.
Oh.
Yes. But my favorite moment with him was having passed my GCE exams, and I'm running home with the results, and I'm really running. And as I hit the gate to turn into my yard, I heard, "You can get it if you really want. You can get it if you really want, but you must try, try and try, try and try. You succeed at last." And just imagine that. You succeed at last, that burst. And then I started crying. And then my neighbor, who he and I studied together, he was running to find me as well, because he had also received his results. And I remember the jubilation just both of us just jumping and screaming and crying and Jimmy Cliff, you succeed at last. So that's
Yes.
my moment. That's my
Yes.
moment.
Thanks for sharing,
Yeah.
That's
Shimus.
good.
You really
That
say
is
thanks.
that's memorable.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my moment.
Yeah, man. Anyone else has want to share anything?
Well, this was already shared, but just to clarify, I'm not sure if he said both of his Grammys were for Best Reggae Album.
No. One was best reggae recording.
No, man, it's Best Reggae Album 1986, Cliffhanger, and then 2013. So both of them were Best Reggae Album.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Because what I read, it sounded like it was an individual song, and I said, but I'm not aware of the Grammys having an individual. You know,
No.
it was always albums.
Yeah, so
So
it's
thanks for that. Thanks
yeah,
for that.
man.
Good.
All right,
Any other?
so
Okay. All right, Del. Back to you. Back to you, Chris.
well, DP Earl hinted at it earlier that we still have to thank our guests. So, so I think it's still with you for the thank you.
Well, I I usually just do the thank you whenever I have up close and personal to the persons who participated, and you know I can say it again, you know, that AJ, you know, it was really eye opening, and I think we know exactly where we can use you or where you can help to utilize some of your skills. So thank you for agreeing. You know, it's not sometimes for various reasons. Not everybody is keen to do up close and personal, but we thank those who say yes and embrace it. You know, we thank those, and I want to thank him for stepping forward. And having seen his presentation, you know, it was easy to see why for him it was just a natural. So thank you, AJ. That was great.
You're welcome, man. Thanks for extending the invitation to participate.
Yes, great. Okay, Prez.
Thank you, DP Stewart. When you were thanking him just now, I thought you were thanking him for volunteering to assist in other areas. Thought I heard
No,
that. Or that's prophetic.
no,
That's
that
prophetic?
that will come because I can see the fit easily. I can see the fit, so that will come.
All right. Thank you again, DP Stewart. And at this time, we're going to be hearing from DP Earl as he comes to do Sergeant at Arms duties.
And I will find the last person first because I have a feeling that in spite of the interest of the program, the DP Stewart made sure that AJ didn't leave. Because, and I hope AJ appreciated the Jimmy Cliff part, but you shouldn't have kept him so long to thank him. These are two great personalities. So you should pay more than everybody else. And because I normally, well, I tell folks, it's not wearing it now, but I wear hearing aids, and I'm sure during the objects, I heard a word by the secretary who takes all the president's errors, but it's his error this time when he said corporate. I'm sure I did not hear corporate, and I don't. And people are going to follow him and may not read the thing, so to find DLG, and then and I hope the president said transitioned. It didn't sound that right, and I had on my hearing aids at the time. Anyway, no problem. I'm just trying to show that I'm paying attention. I'm at a disadvantage as Sarge because we can't find visitors. We can't really force them to identify themselves, but I think we should in future ensure that all the KCUK people put a tag on it so I can know who to catch. When they
Oh,
don't, you see, there are a
you
few
mean
we
it is?
know.
Yeah.
Like when I say you would know I am KCOK. I was hoping to say that all those who are not KCOK members should really say identify where they're from. But when you have visitors, maybe you can't really
Yeah,
enforce
it will
that.
not work this evening because I know
Yeah.
AJ had a couple of his visitors.
And many a time folks do have. And then, but what I don't like, and I would like to encourage persons, don't use the instrument number. Just put a name. All right. But this is not a lesson. I am just trying to find ways of finding people. And I saw somebody write an article that they were scrapping at the bottom. I know somebody put in an extra P. But I always pick up these things. Well, I know when DP Stewart asked me if I would come, he hoped that I would come with a better joke than last week, although he thought it was a good joke. And I searched and then found that I had one from 15 years ago. And it was a friend of mine who is now dead from 2015. And I sent it to his widow to say, boy, laugh at this because I'm going to give this to Kiwanis tonight. So I'm geared for you guys. But after the standard of presentation by Ahejey, I wonder if I should give it. But anyway, this is to show the variation. And I left KC when we got independence here, Ahejey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was my last year at KC. So I am allowed at my age here to say anything I want, and I'm respectful still. But this one here is about a farmer who was sitting in a bar one afternoon, getting slowly drunk. A man came over to talk to him and said, "You look down. It's a beautiful day. I mean, what could have kept you in that mood on a day like this?" He says, "Some things you just can't explain." He said, "So talk, man. I maybe talking to somebody will help you to feel better." He says, "Well, if you really want to know, I was sitting in the barn milking my cow this morning, and just when the bucket was full, she kicked it over with her left leg." He said, "Yes, of course. That felt like the end of the world, isn't it?" He said, "Yeah." He says, "Some things you just can't explain." So I tied her leg to a post and then proceeded to milk. And it almost reached the full, and she used her right foot and kicked it over. Ah, boy, some things she just can't explain. He said, "So what did you do?" He said, "Well, after tying the left leg to the post, I know she hit it over with the other one. So when I was carrying on milking, I tied the right foot to the post, other post." He said, "I can see the world is slipping now. I mean, you're really getting annoyed." He said, "What did you do?" He said, "Some things you just can't explain." He said, "Well, I didn't have any more rope, so I took off my belt, tied her tail to the rafter above. At that time, my pants fell off and my wife entered. As I said, some things you just can't explain." I leave you with that one, Prince.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, DP Earl. Let's hope that they all got it.
Yes, I didn't drop my voice. Yes, thank you.
All right. But DP, did you give a sum for the fine? I don't recall hearing a sum.
I only find DP Stewart, but it's supposed to go for everybody. No, not as much as I charge him. He's supposed to be $500, but the others are $300. All KCOK members. I exempt AJ for this one. You could
Okay.
never have done such a great presentation and we talk about finding you.
I appreciate it.
Exemption noted. And, and I'm going to ask the members of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston, please, to do the honorable thing and pay your fines.
Great.
Willie knows who was there.
Now have notices and announcements and interclubbing opportunities. And this will be brought to us by DLG William Reeson. DLG Willie?
You're on mute, DLG.
There you
go. Okay.
Thank you, President. On the announcement, before I do that, I think we would be remiss, President Zuri, not to mention to our fellow Kiwanis who are present that we attended the installation ceremony of St. Andrew Technical High School Key Club last Friday. It was a very interesting installation. And I wish the president and the members of the Key Club a successful year. I believe that the faculty advisor may be on the call at this time as well. So, AJ, when you're ready, we go down to stats together. All right, regarding notices and announcements, just to remind the members, the planning committee, as the Christmas Ball Planning Committee, we have a committee meeting on Thursday, as November 27th, 6:30 p.m. at the summit in the Catalyst Room. And just to remind members too, on Sunday, November 30th, to the visual church service at Webster Memorial Church at 10 o'clock. And of course, just to reinforce what the president said, our signature project, Kiwanis Club of Kingston annual Christmas charity ball on December the 6th. Tickets, $20,000. I hope that every one of us who are members of the club will buy at least one ticket or make a donation, which will go towards the Hurricane Melissa Recovery Fund.
Yes.
That's all for now. President Jury, you may ask members from visiting clubs if they have any announcements to make them know. Thank you.
Thank you, DLG. But before I do that, just want to remind persons that Monday, December 1st is our board meeting at 6:30 p.m. So reminding you all that we have our board meeting on the 1st of December. The venue we will send to you. But just remember, bear the date in mind, December 1st, 6:30, or board meeting. So at this time, I'm going to invite any person who is on the platform, if you have any notice, announcement of any upcoming event that you wish to share with us, that you go ahead and do so at this time. Going once. Going twice. Going 3 times, opportunity lost until next week. At this time, we will have our thought for the week. Our thought for the week should be coming from Director DP Marcel, but I am not seeing him on the platform. So I'm going to invite, if there is a member of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston, if you have an eager thought that you wish to share, something that's burning that you want to share to us all, I'd give you the opportunity now to share that thought with us. Well, if not, I'll just share my weekly thought. And my thought is that you bear those persons who are facing the devastating effects of Hurricane Melissa in your thoughts. And may your thoughts lead you to do some act, to take some action that will assist, even if it is to say a word of prayer for those persons. So again, the thought for this week is to keep our brothers and sisters in our thoughts. And at this time, I will invite you to raise your glasses with me, be it figurative, literal, or otherwise, that you raise your glass with me in a toast to Kiwanis International and to Jamaica, land we love. The meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston is now terminated. Have a good evening, everyone.
Evening to you too.
Yes. Let me just,
DJ DP Stewart will probably give us some tunes from Jimmy Cliff.
yeah. Let me just.
Can you please play my favorite?
Which one is your favorite?
Brown Eyed Girl.
Brown Eyed Girls
Oh
or
yeah, right.
Try and Try. Yes.
I will do a search. I'll do a
Okay,
search.
good. Thanks.
So, something I should share with you guys. Last week, I got a warning from YouTube because I was playing. I was using content for which I had no right. You remember the football? So they threatened me. So I did what I did. Well, I was gonna play any during the when I was doing the talk about Jimmy Cliff. But let me just stop the stream. 1 sec.
Who you said threatened you? What is that?
YouTube.
Oh, YouTube.
No,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, man. Good. I
I
just
was
wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1 second.